Hello, and welcome to my channel, The Entrepreneurial Mindset. Today will be module 2 of my course, Influential Intelligence. I am also the author of the Manual of Essential Business Concepts, which you can purchase on Amazon.com and support my channel. Thank you. So in module 2, I'm going to discuss talent discovery. I highly recommend you take this talent assessment called this Clifton Strengths. What it does, in about an hour or so, it will assess you, the 34 talents that we all have, and it will provide you and give you in-depth analysis of your top 5 talents. It only costs $24.99 to take the test. It's purely online. There are no right or wrong answers. What we'll do is help you identify, develop, and apply your talents. It's available at Gallup.com. I'll also provide a link to the assessment in the comments below. Just be aware that I received no compensation from Gallup for making this recommendation, but I think it's an important test, particularly if you're struggling. You decide on a career, or perhaps you're thinking of going back to school, or you have a son or daughter that's going to college and they're struggling to pick a major. This might give them some direction. The test was developed by a gentleman named Dr. Donald O. Clifton. He is considered the founder of strength-based psychology. He is author of the book Strengths Quest, which again, I highly recommend, and I don't receive any compensation for making this recommendation. He is also the former chairman of the Gallup organization. So why is it important to discover your talents? Well, when you're an employee, you want to be able to demonstrate that you're consistently competent in your job, and by knowing what your talents are, that will certainly help. It also would enhance your work ethic, demonstrate that you are the kind of person that provides solutions to problems at work, that you are committed to your employer's success, which if you remember I discussed in module 1, that you are, when you apply for a job or when you're in a job, you have to kind of decide how you're going to help the employer succeed, either on the revenue side or the expense side. And I define being influential as being excellent in your job, but also being creative. So how I define excellence is basically I recommend that you focus on your talents and skills you can demonstrate consistently well. That doesn't necessarily mean you don't make mistakes. And if you do make mistakes, definitely take ownership of your mistakes. It's okay to ask for help. Asking for help is not a weakness, it's actually a strength. And that you are willing to improve your performance via learning. That can either be some sort of education, either online education or more traditional classroom type education, some sort of training, and of course, practice. And excellence is, I think, is an attitude and a habit. So when you do discover your talents, you also will discover that you are a very creative person, but creativity requires an expertise. In other words, you have to have a fair amount of experience, a fair amount of knowledge to be able to be creative, to be able to see problems and solutions. Creativity requires time, because it takes time to develop your expertise, which again comes from knowing what your talents are. Creativity requires allies, supporters, other employees. Creativity requires opportunities. Creativity requires pragmatism. So in other words, what available resources you have available at the company, either people or money. When you do discover your talents, it allows you to be more open and to be able to recognize that there are better options, that you're willing to update your skills. Um, because if you start a job in your early 20s, most likely you're going to be working into your 70s. So that's a 50-year span of working. You have to think about, okay, how am I going to update my skills as your career progresses, that you view problems as opportunities. Creativity also requires a careful analysis before you take any action, before you make any decisions regarding a particular problem. In other words, you have to kind of weigh the pros and cons of each solution when a problem presents itself. Creative people tend to expand their information either by reading books or taking courses, further education. And also you may want to expand your professional network. Certainly LinkedIn could help, but you also want to look at local opportunities to expand your professional network where you meet people in person, like, for example, the local Chamber of Commerce. And when you find that an influential person is one who can be trusted to achieve employers' goals, that they work well with other employees. You don't have to be best friends with every employee or with every colleague, but that you work well. You have a good professional working relationship with your colleagues and fellow employees, that you've demonstrated commitment to your employer's success. And so I define an influential employee as someone who is competent and creative, and that makes them into an excellent employee. And again, excellence starts with knowing what your talents are, what your skills, what your capabilities are. And that's what I have all for today. Thank you for watching. Any questions or comments, use the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel for more content on business education, entrepreneurship. And I thank you for watching.